Hello. So here are a couple of really epic stories from my life. I suffered a major injury during international travel. So this one time I broke a fingernail at the airport. I had really long fingernails at the time, and I was getting on a plane and hauling a large suitcase, and somewhere along the way I broke one of my fingernails, and it was just really annoying. It felt weird, it looked weird to have just one broken fingernails when the others were like half an inch long. But you can't have scissors on the plane, so all I had on me was one of those nail files that are like a piece of sponge with some sandpaper on each side. So I spent the entire flight meticulously filing down the other fingernails. The poor lady who sat in the seat next to me. There is a chance that she still tells that story of the weirdo next to her on the plane who spent the entire flight filing down fingernails. It must have been so annoying. I'm actually really sorry to that lady. I'm sorry. My mother tried to poison me. So one year, my mother gifted me a half-rotten mango for Left-Handers Day. She was watching TV and there was some segment there about how it was International Left-Handers Day, and she just happened to have a mango stashed somewhere, and she came up to me and gave me that mango and said, "Happy Left-Handers Day." But half of the mango had just rotted away because she had it just lying around somewhere in a corner in her room. And I appreciate the thought, really I do, and I love mango, but unfortunately by then it really wasn't mango anymore. I almost died in history class. So the history class in my high school had these large wooden boards on the walls that had like historical dates and people on them. And one of those boards fell on me during class. It hit me on the side of the head and the shoulder, and it actually really hurt. And I think the weirdest thing about that whole situation was that not only did my parents not like take me to a hospital or something, but they didn't file any kind of complaint or anything, because my father didn't care and my mother didn't want conflict. So essentially it set a precedent for the school that dropping heavy wooden boards on children's heads was just kind of normal for them. Also, I think the thing that kind of helped at the time was that I was wearing a jacket with shoulder pads. Questionable 90s fashion to the rescue. I was offered money for sex. So this one time in high school, I was waiting for the bus at the bus stop, and this incredibly drunk gentleman came up to me and said, "Come back to my place. I'm gonna give you money." Now, I can't be sure entirely what it is that he meant precisely. Perhaps he wanted me to paint his bedroom or fix his TV or assemble some IKEA. I really don't know. Maybe he was just so desperate to have that job done that he came up to the first person that he saw that just happened to be a 16-year-old girl trying to get home from school I politely declined the offer, but he kept just kind of hanging around me and just going, come on, I'll be great. I was eventually saved by the bus arriving, so I never got to know precisely what he meant, but somehow I doubt that it was about assembling his Klimpen. My teacher tried to kill me. So, in my middle school, we had lunch at the cafeteria, and one time, one of the things that was in the lunch was chicken liver, and I cannot stand that stuff. I can't stand the smell of it. If I put it in my mouth, I will puke. We weren't technically obligated to consume the lunch, but for some reason, one of the teachers that was like overlooking the lunch really wanted me to eat that liver. I don't know what her problem was, but she forced me to eat it. Well, she didn't physically force me, but she like coerced me into eating it. And I puked all over the cafeteria floor in front of the entire school. School just wasn't a very fun place for me. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Second, I have a bit of an announcement. I'm hoping to start a new series on this channel where every Friday I will tell a story from my life. It's not necessarily going to be super exciting, but I like scheduled entertainment, and if that's something that's up your alley, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next Friday.